Welcome to Court Talk. I'm your host, Greg Camillone. Today we're going to talk about the Golden State Warriors NBA Finals victory and LeBron James's legacy. The NBA Finals has concluded and the Warriors are your NBA Finals champions. Kevin Durant continued to be on fire, shooting 14 of 20, which is 70%, and went on to earn Finals MVP. Stephen Curry and Andre Iguodala added 34 and 20 for the Warriors. On the other end, LeBron James tallied 41 points, 13 rebounds, and 8 assists for the Cavaliers. Kyrie Irving and J.R. Smith contributed 26 and 25 points apiece. Now, although the game had its close moments, the Warriors had their periods of making the Cavaliers pay for their mistakes, going on a 28-4 run throughout the second quarter, earning a lead as large as 17. The Warriors are a hard enough team to keep up with, let alone coming out of a 17-point deficit. The Cavaliers had their little runs and crowd-silencing three-pointers, but it wasn't enough to close out the Warriors and a chance at Game 6. So what happened between Games 4 and 5? Reviewing Game 4 first, the Cleveland Cavaliers earned their first Finals victory, giving the Warriors their only postseason loss with a 137-116 win. The Cavs recorded some impressive history in their triumph, such as LeBron tallying his 9th triple-double in the finals, passing Magic Johnson, scoring 86 points in the first half, which is a finals record, and Kyrie Irving had a highlight-filled 40 points. All that had to happen to beat the Warriors? Wrong. As for Game 4, the Cavaliers did more than just close it out. They played a full 48 minutes. They showed up. The Cavaliers showed up, and that's why they won. LeBron played like the king, contributing a triple-double. Kyrie Irving drove to the basket and didn't play with the ball too much. He used his creative dribbling skills to get to the basket. This also resulted in more space, allowing him to shoot better quality three-point shots. Love added 23 points, showing an additional bit of confidence from the previous game, where he shot 1 for 7 from beyond the arc. Tristan Thompson finally made an appearance, giving the Cavs 5 points and 10 rebounds. J.R. Smith added 15 points as well. Kyle Korver and Deron Williams still hadn't played to their full capability. Korver was shooting only 29% from beyond the arc. Shooting threes is what he's known for, and he was not doing that this year in the finals. It took until Game 4 for Deron Williams to score, and he only added 5. Overall, LeBron received more help than Games 1, 2, and 3. The Warriors are averaging 34 points in the third quarter, and Cleveland held them to 28 in the third in Game 4. Now, of course, lessening a team's third quarter average wouldn't be the sole reason that would continue the Cavs' success moving forward, especially when the Cavs only had one more total rebound than the Warriors, one more total assist, one more steal, and one less turnover. So what did lead to the Cavs' success? Collectively defending and pushing the ball. Not only just defense, but disciplined defense. They pressured Stephen Curry so well, they forced him to cause 4 turnovers and held him to only 14 points. By doing so, the floor becomes that much tighter for the Warriors. When the Cavs defense can lock down Curry, then there's less of a need for a help side defense, which results in less kickouts and open threes. Shots the Warriors have proven to hit consistently. Although there were a lot of debates about the way certain calls were handled through Game 4, the Warriors actually attempted more free throws than the Cavaliers. Therefore, Draymond Green's mother, who tweeted that the refs were paid off, along with some other comments, is an invalid argument as to why the Warriors lost. Plus, you can't rig the fact that the Cavaliers were making shots. It's okay to lose one game. But on to Game 5. The Cavaliers went back to their old habits that caused them to lose the first 3 games of the series. There were too many miscommunications on defense and simply a lack of effort. Warrior players either went coast to coast on a fast break or had an easy backdoor cut and pass for another 2. I've honestly never seen such a dominant team lack such a fundamental concept. You have to stop the ball first. You can see Kevin Durant sometimes hesitate from shock as to how open he was. And of course, these fast breaks resulted from poor shot selections and awful attempts from wide open looks. Once again, Kyle Korver comes in and only adds 1 3 on the night. Kevin Love didn't produce much either, only adding 6 points to the evening. Yeah, he had 2 quick fouls in the first, but he still played 29 minutes. He shot 2 for 8, highly inefficient. Another thing was Irving's decision making. He had 4 turnovers on the night, and unlike Game 4, he decided to showcase his dribbling instead of utilizing it to his advantage. The difference between Game 4 and 5 is that Kyrie Irving used a 1 or 2 combo crossover and a straight to the rim in Game 4. In Game 5, Irving did not use his crossover to change speed and direction. Instead, he stayed in one position, failing to gain any momentum or step on his defender. One could argue that the screens set for him were poor, but it's also important to realize that it's hard for the screener to set position when the ball handler doesn't indicate a direction. Overall, I would say that the Cavaliers lost this series for themselves more than the Warriors won it. And that's not to discredit the Warriors. They played well and have one of the greatest rosters we've ever seen. I'm happy for Kevin Durant. He is an unbelievable scorer and overall player, well deserving of having a championship title. I make that conclusion about the series based off the Cavs' lack of effort on the defensive end. And one thing I am a little upset about is the remarks LeBron James is receiving. The morning of Game 4, I had all the sports shows on, listening to everyone's take of his legacy and his chance at ever being the GOAT. Every analyst except one talked about how it will be the second time LeBron will be swept in the finals. Therefore, he can no longer be in the GOAT conversation. Game 4 hadn't even happened yet, and yet everyone was assuming he was going to lose. And let's stop right there for a second. Why is it that it's the Warriors versus LeBron? It's always, oh, LeBron lost again in the finals instead of Cavaliers lost in the finals. It is a team sport. He did average a triple-double in the finals, and it wasn't a small triple-double. He averaged over 30 points per game. Keep in mind that's something that's never been done before. He is also 32 years old. So why is this man suffering so much heat? He's been to 8 NBA Finals in 14 seasons. If you think about that, he's been in the NBA Finals more seasons than not, but yet because he's lost 5 of them, he's automatically hated, and his legacy is less worthy. I think there are some haters who hold a grudge out there from him making a scene about his decision to go to Miami, which I understand. I also understand why fans like Jordan over LeBron, because LeBron passes too much for their liking and doesn't have the killer instinct MJ did. People declare LeBron to be a crybaby and complain too much about calls. All reasonable excuses and accusations to not like him. But that shouldn't take away from his basketball skills and what they represent. His statistics are unreal, and he automatically makes those around him better. 10 years ago, LeBron James was 22 years old. At that age, he surprisingly led an unqualified Cavalier team to the NBA Finals against the San Antonio Spurs and averaged 22 points, 7 rebounds, and 6.8 assists per game. Yeah, they got swept, but still impressive for a 22-year-old. In 2015, when the Warriors defeated the Cleveland Cavaliers for Curry's first title, LeBron averaged 35.8 points, 13.3 rebounds, and 8.8 assists per game. He was with a young Cavalier roster, and Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving were both unavailable. Not trying to make excuses for LeBron, but I think if you're a true basketball fan, then we could at least appreciate this man a little more in the league while we have him. He may not be the greatest of all time in your eyes, but he is most definitely the king of basketball for this era. Lastly, before I end the show, it's time for the random baller fact of the week. Did you know Stephen Curry's first name is actually Wardell? Yes, Wardell Stephen Curry Jr. is his real full name. That's all for today's show. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Greg Camillone, and this is Court Talk.